Okay, I think we're live.
Great. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Wolf 359 Season 3 AMA. My name is Gabriel. I'm the show's creator, head writer, executive producer.
I'm Zach Villani. I do something here.
Yeah, every now and then we find something for him to do.
I play Doug Eiffel, Hilbert, a couple other little voices. I do some writing sometimes.
He produces the show.
I
Jack
like
of all trades. So we're going to get started with the AMA in just a moment. But before we do that, we want to thank you guys for listening to the show. It's been a roller coaster to make Season 3, and we can't believe that it's over. We have a small announcement to make, and it's a little bit of a good news, bad news sort of thing.
And true to form, I'm going to take the good news and let you know that officially, drumroll please, we're going to do Season 4! And it's going to be amazing.
Season 4 is going to begin on June 12th. It's going to go until December 25th of this year. It'll end on Christmas Day. And the bad news is that on December 25th, when this season ends, that's going to be it for Wolf 359. This is going to be the last season of the show. This is, it's not a decision that we made lightly or quickly. It's been something we've been discussing for a very, very long time, but we think it's the right choice. It's not the show getting canceled or discontinued or anything like that. It is, we're getting to the end of the story, and that'll be at the end of this year.
Right. And while it may feel like in the new year that we are not working, it's not true.
That's not true.
Just because we're not on the air doesn't mean we're not hard at work working on Season 4. We'll be coming back. What was the date again?
We're coming back June 12th. Yeah, that's a couple of months from now.
And so in that time, the reason we're doing that is we want to be able to really have everything written at a new level. We want to do really big things.
This season is going to be a monster. We're trying to do more ambitious episodes. We're trying to do more work with more actors, more stuff with our remote actors. Just a whole bunch of other things that we'll talk about in due time.
And we're also going to be doing some interesting things around the show. We've heard from some of y'all that you might like to see some merch. We're working really hard on getting our store officially ready for launch very soon. Finally. And for those of you who support us on Patreon, thank you so much. And you can expect a
major overhaul.
Spanking new overhaul with new rewards, new stretch goals, shiny new videos,
all kinds of new things,
all sorts of fun stuff. That's all coming really, really, really soon, and we couldn't be more excited about it. And just a quick plug for those of you who do support us on Patreon.
Thank you.
You make everything possible. We really, really appreciate it. It means the world to us. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and we're just really excited to be here with you to talk about it.
Yeah, and without further ado, why don't we bring out the other people that are here to talk about it?
Wait, what other people?
No, come on. Alrighty, so we're lucky enough to have a couple members of the cast here with us. So let's begin with Miss Cecilia Lynn Jacobs, who plays Captain Lovelace. Let me move out of the way.
I'm going to be moving into my command center seat.
Yes. Then we have Mr. Zach Libresco, who plays Colonel Kepler in the show.
Hello, everyone.
We got ourselves some Noah Mazer, who plays Jacobi.
Woo!
Hey, Team Jacobi. How's it going?
Then we'll be joined by a couple of other people over the course of the evening, but right now we have one of our special surprise guests, Miss Ariela Rotenberg, who plays Rachel. And last for now, but definitely not least, we have Miss Sarah Shackett, our other staff writer and producer.
Yeah!
And I'm going to get a cushion to sit on the floor.
Nice.
Alrighty, guys. So if you've never been to one of our AMAs before, you guys sent in questions. Boy, did you send in questions. We got over 500 questions for this event, which was unbelievable. It also means that we're not going to be able to answer absolutely all of them because we would be here until the season begins on June 12th. So we've done our best to go through and find questions that are representative of sort of like the biggest trends that we saw, but just know that we're not going to be able to get to absolutely everything. You're also going to get a chance to send in more questions by putting them in the chat. Zach Valenti is going to do his best to pick out some interesting questions and make sure that those get answered. And finally, this is spoiler warning. We're going to be talking through up to and including the end of season 3. So if you have not heard Bolero and you care about such pedantic things as spoilers, now is a great time to turn around and wait.
This video will be here for any of you who have to go, or if you have friends. Gabriel, why don't you come over here?
Yeah, that's a better choice. I was thinking about that.
Great teamwork.
Great.
Awesome. So why don't we get rolling with that first question?
Thank you guys so much for being here. You guys
Seriously, this is amazing.
I just walked in. I don't even know what I'm doing.
Who are you again?
Okay,
Do you
great.
do you even go
You
here?
were wondering where the falafel cart was.
Yeah, I just assumed that
Yeah,
would be
it's-
nearby.
We just said it was in here
Hmm.
because we liked the look of you.
So I want to go to the chat for the first question. But let's see. How are we feeling today? How's everybody feeling today?
Pretty good.
I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really happy to be here.
Yes.
If your characters were a Disney character,
Nice.
good, neutral, or
Wow.
bad,
Wow.
who would it be and why? Thank you, SSM. I'm going to direct this question to Zach Labresco.
Man,
Yes.
so if I, so not if Zach Labresco were it.
No, if Kepler.
Kepler.
Although,
Man,
whom
I wish I.
comes to mind.
So I'm probably somebody who's really good at planning in a way, maybe antagonistically to the hero of the plot. But the first person who came to mind for me was Gaston. Just in terms of like
I can see that.
strength and leadership, or
Right.
the strength and leadership at least he thinks he has. I don't know.
Right.
What do you think about? I didn't give it a. That's my gut response.
I like that suggestion. Yeah.
Okay. I always.
I feel that
I
they
would defer to
have
Gabriel.
similar levels of ego,
Right.
which is hard to match for both of them. So I think
Right,
that's
right.
a good choice.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Awesome. So let's see. I got one from our submissions.
Okay.
And I'm going to aim this at you, Gabrielle. How long did you know that Lovelace was an alien? How far ahead did you know what was going to happen at the end of season 3?
Lovelace being an alien, basically when we were writing the Kumbaya approach. Also, like,
Yeah.
if you did not take our spoiler warning seriously.
Welcome to the spoiler dome.
Yes. No, this is actually something that, like, you guys can correct me if I'm remembering this wrong, but I remember sort of we talked with you, Cece, about coming on as Lovelace for one episode in season 1.
Oh yeah.
And sort of like, you know, doing the voices in that weird message in super energy saver mode. And after that experience, we all kind of looked at each other and were like, we should get this character on the show, like, full time. And we talked to you, and kind of one of the things that you asked was, before we all kind of sign up to this, I want to know, how is the character coming back? Sort of like, what is the mechanical reality that is letting this person come back? And I remember we had this really long meeting where
It was like 3 hours.
where it was basically sort of like, how do we get Lovelace on this show? And everyone was pitching all of these ideas, and it was a lot of like, she has been hiding inside the walls, and there was like, when they thought that the empty man was coming on board, that was actually Lovelace returning. And it all just kind of felt really forced and really tough. And then I sort of suggested, I mean, the other thing that we could do was, I'd always sort of like, did want to do sort of like that story of someone who doesn't realize that they are a copy of another person. And I didn't realize that Wolf 359 would be sort of the place to tell it, but I suggested that. And that met with like approval from the room in a way that everything else had sort of been like really kind of like forced. That felt like a much better fit.
Yes.
So that was there pretty much.
Oh yeah, no, we were going into, because you and I had long, like character backstory development meetings and exercises, and all of that early rehearsal stuff was like the whole dead the whole time thing featured largely in those.
Yeah.
And also because we had a lot of conversations about like, you know, like how does that work? You know, like how does that work for the person and the character and
Right. What are the physical realities of sort of like her state?
exactly.
Right. Which is a perfect segue into my question for Cecilia.
Oh.
How did knowing that Lovelace is secretly not Lovelace impact the way that you approached her character? Were there little hints that you, or Sarah, or Gabriel, tried to drop as the show progressed?
Does it actually say that?
Yes, it actually says that.
Okay.
If we have not said this enough, you guys, the questions were awesome.
They were
Like, they're
great.
so
They
great.
They
were
were
great.
so specific. It was amazing.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that, like, really when it comes down to it, right, like, this is something that I knew about from the time of taking the role. So, but at the end of the day, it's like, you know, I'm trying to figure out how to say this without, like, I don't know, screwing up plot stuff. But I don't know what's happening. But like, at the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter what the objective reality is, because like, my job is to be incredibly intimately acquainted with the character's reality. And whatever, like, Lovelace thinks, and however Lovelace feels about that, it is my job to get into that. And, like, that comes with, that's, like, acting.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just, I don't think it made that big of a difference either way. It changed the specifics of the kind of questions that I was asking, but I don't think that the nature of those questions, like how is it to be a person in these circumstances, are essentially any different from any other kind of character approach. But I don't know if that...
That's a great
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Awesome. So for a very similar tonal...
Wait. And wasn't there something about...
Hints?
Hints. From
Hints.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Were there little hints that we tried to drop as the show progressed? Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, how many
Yes,
of
there are
them
a
can we
few.
count off?
Yes.
So-
It was like the computer on her shuttle never having been on was a big one.
She wasn't affected by...
She wasn't affected by the
radiation.
radiation and
Yeah.
knock knock, which Eiffel noticed. Her blood transfusion
Seemed
to
to have triggered
Eiffel
some-
seemed to have triggered something in Decima.
right.
Yeah.
And then the fact that when that happened, Kepler immediately shut down all of the Decima research, which a lot of people did spot as kind of like, wait, it makes no sense that he would be shutting down sort of this research that's producing results. And that was because he didn't want Hilbert to realize what had caused the results. There's a few other ones in
I
there.
think like the most egregious was the mini episode with y'all, where one of the test questions
Oh, yes.
is she an alien?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
We did throw that in there.
Right.
That's
Just as like a joke.
that was funny for us. It should be funny for you guys now.
Yes.
There are a
It was
few
there.
of those.
There were a lot of those, yeah.
Yes. Also, just like in general, that this whole alien presence respawning situation thing, like that.
They said alien president, and I got so
No.
upset.
Oh.
No. But like that you know, like the whole that whole plot development in the situation has been going on for a while as well.
Right.
And a lot of Kepler's behavior.
Like Kepler's and Kepler, all of the conversations that Lovelace has with Kepler
Right.
hilarious if you go back and listen to them in the context of
Right.
news.
Yeah.
And Kepler with command.
Yeah, it's very, very
The
funny.
calls back to
There's a
the
little bit of
Yeah,
Frank
that's right.
Gabriel, if
Yeah.
you want to move a little bit in.
So yes, I think
Always want to move.
yeah, a lot of things should make more sense now.
Cool. Awesome. For Team Jacobi, can you sum up other characters in one word?
Other characters in one word.
And I think
And
that
like,
Team
what does
Jacobi
Team
means
Jacobi
Zach,
That's y'all.
Noah,
yeah,
and
Michelle.
Michelle, who's
Michelle.
not with us yet.
Yeah,
be here
it's-
she's
soon.
dead anyway.
Thank you, Cece.
We don't
Much
promote,
appreciated.
We don't promote violence in real
Michelle
life.
is so alive.
She's very much alive.
Is she here? Are you sure?
I don't know. We love her a lot. Okay, can you talk?
Noah, I'll
Yeah.
name the character name, and then you describe them in one word. Are you ready?
Right.
Cutter.
Smooth.
Jacobi.
The greatest.
He gets 2 words.
These deserves to.
Lovelace.
Too smart.
I deserve 2 words too.
Minkowski.
Pain.
Eiffel.
Ear pain.
Hilbert.
Creepy.
Maxwell.
Difficult.
Rachel.
Pain.
Kepler.
The greatest.
And Hero.
Here's cool cat.
Cool cat.
Here's cool cat.
You got like 8 words.
Here's a cool cat.
It was describe everyone in one word. I did 2 for everybody.
Yeah. Hashtag Team Jacobi.
Always follows the rules.
So,
Improvisation with Noah Mazer every Thursday.
actually,
Every
though,
day.
Noah and I are in an improv class
Oh, that's true.
that does have a
They
show on
You happen to be in
Sunday
New York.
at 5 p.m.
If
I
you're in
may
New
or may
York,
not have copied and pasted the link into the description of this video. Just say
You're
it.
so good at that.
you're just seamless at it.
So, how did this is for the group? How did all of us react to the recent character deaths, especially the voice actors for said characters? I guess.
Yeah, that's you guys right now.
Yeah,
Cece.
but we need Michelle.
We do need Michelle.
do
I just
need
texted
Michelle.
her. If you
Yeah.
see me like on the phone and
Okay.
She's
That's-
here.
That's a Michelle.
We needed her.
timing.
Yes, she is alive.
She's here.
Well, I mean, we haven't seen her yet.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it could be a stranded tourist.
banned for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't see the tech setup, but I've got like 3
Well, I
computers
guess,
running, and like computers controlling other computers.
Well, why don't know? Well, I guess other people.
Yeah, other
You
people
can
can
talk about-
respond to
Yeah,
that.
you can talk about
Hilbert.
Hilbert and
Hilbert's
and
dead.
Yeah.
Oh right, I forgot because I
You
still play
forgot
ISIL.
the character you
ISIL.
played
Who's
for
ISIL?
3 years.
It was embarrassing.
ISIL.
I was so
ISIL's
sad.
the
I fought for
friend.
that. I fought for him to not die. But it was the right choice for his story. But yeah, I'm gonna miss the character, the voice. He's like a really nice counterpoint from a performance standpoint. But Michelle's here, so I'm gonna not get too serious.
She texted her that she can come up.
Oh.
I think she's pressing the elevator.
Oh, got it. She's being careful because I warned her.
Pass it over to Cece.
You know, I think
So, yes,
Second, I'm just gonna call her.
she's getting called.
I was gonna say something about.
You can just wait, like, and you can call through.
Well, yeah, we'll
Yeah,
definitely
Michelle
we'll edit
Quartet,
this in
anybody?
post.
What?
Yeah, we'll fix it in post. Hey, we're streaming. It's all good. You should come upstairs. Come into the elevator. We will bring you up.
You are on the live stream right now.
You're on the air. You want to say hi?
Oh my god, really?
Yeah.
I screwed up ringing the doorbell.
It's fine. It was just at 8. Gabriel and I had to like do the show's ending thing.
Oh, really? So you did that?
I know. You should come upstairs though. We'll see you in a second. There's a really intense question waiting for you when you get here. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
You always know how to make people feel loved.
Yay!
My thing about Hilbert was, I had this hope that he would die, but in a way where he would redeem himself, where like he would sacrifice himself to do something like good
That
for
would be
once.
cool.
We
And then
talked
he
about
totally
that.
did.
But I kind of,
Right.
I kind of love that he doesn't do that.
It's kind of awesome.
Yeah, because I think that he's kind of more complicated. I think that that is a trope that I'm really glad the show didn't follow.
I am nothing if not consistent, even in death.
Lord.
Hilbert is the person who would say even in death.
Even in the... we
that's-
did talk
Yeah.
about
To be
how
fair,
much of like a
if
redemption
your
arc
life
you have.
goal is consistency, death, I think, is
part of
not
that?
like a bad ultimate.
It's
end.
pretty consistent.
Right,
These
right.
things do not get more consistent than being dead.
It is what we call vacation.
Says the character who just came back to life.
Yeah.
Hey!
It's a much cooler.
The ups and downs.
Michelle Agresti, Alana Maxwell.
Oh.
You guys wrap this before it gets locked over.
We're talking. Hi.
How are we doing this? Is she fitting? Are you?
I could
jumping us in the
lie
I can
across the
fit
floor.
her, but I don't think that we need to. Are you gonna? Are you
I
gonna
can
Roman?
scooch. I can scooch.
Are you gonna?
In
Okay.
there,
can
or do you want me
Yeah,
to lie
this is
on
fine.
you?
No, come here. We'll all
We're
spoon
scooching
left.
live from New
That's
York City.
fine. Yeah.
Look at that scooch.
Spoon left.
So yeah,
Perhaps we should reread the question.
yeah. So now that you're here,
Are you gonna choose?
we're talking
I don't
about
know that I can.
how did you all react to the recent character deaths, especially the voice actors for said characters. And while you process that super lighthearted question, I will finish answering. It's been really interesting and sort of challenging to accept that there's not going to be Hilbert next season. He's, a character that I feel like taught me how to act. Am I Alone Now was like the first time that I feel like I actually went from being Zach Valenti behind a microphone doing voices to like I actually have to pull a Cecilia and Jacobs and like do some acting.
That Hilbert section like ate both of us alive for so long.
Oh, dude.
I'm still like amazed that it put together mostly on my part. But yeah.
Alone should be afraid of us. So so I'm gonna miss him and hope that we have more flashbacks and little clips of Sam Lambert. So I have another voice to do. No, but in all seriousness, it was definitely a hard piece of news to get in the writers' room that I slowly came around to. That was just the right choice for the direction that we are sort of inevitably taking. Just the gravity of the story. It sort of feels like it's writing itself in a lot of ways, and that was part of it.
Okay. Hi. Okay. So, I mean, I knew already that Maxwell was going to die, like significantly before we did table reads of those episodes. So I don't want you to think that like we got the table read script and I was like, what? Because that's not at all what happened. Like there had been extensive talks before this. Like I, as an actor, certainly knew it was coming. But I didn't know how it was. I mean, I knew how it was going to happen, but I didn't know exactly like what was going to go down or like what Maxwell was going to say. And that we did find out during the table reads. And I think I cried probably for like an hour of those table reads. I'm really good at silent crying, by the way. Special skill of mine. But not like necessarily like a whole bunch of characters died and then we did their funerals. You know?
Yeah, and we read.
I was
and
not the only person crying.
Oh no, we were
I
all
joined you in
crying.
the crying.
Yeah,
Because
we were all crying.
That table read, we read all 3 episodes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Not
We
a,
read the
in a
last
row.
3 episodes in a row when we did that.
Yeah,
together.
no, there
last
were
four.
episodes.
Yeah, last
Yeah.
Yeah, Persuasion was also in there.
as well.
Yeah, so like the whole thing was very emotionally charged.
not a quiet cry.
So yeah, I mean, I knew it was coming. I was interested to find out what happened, and I was the Maxwell's death intrigued me as an actor because Maxwell didn't think about it. You know, so it wasn't as if, as Maxwell, I had to like live through being killed because she did not think that was gonna happen up until the second it did. So there was no like experiencing that for her. However, in original scripts, there was some other things that happened afterwards. I just like sobbed straight through, but other stuff ended up appearing in the episodes, and that I also cried through as well. But honestly, I think the death that hit me the hardest, and I actually screamed during the table read, was the plant monster.
I remember that.
There were less warnings about that one.
Yeah, that one, there was no warning for the plant monster. I didn't, yeah, exactly. I had no idea what was going to happen. And I'm still not really over it.
Classic Maxwell.
Classic Maxwell.
I think that's my favorite thing about the plant monster is that the plant monster like shows up and then is like a really big present and then just like completely disappears.
Yep.
And then is like completely dormant for a long time and then shows up again and then just goes dark. I love it. It is consistent to its character.
Yeah.
I love when Minkowski comes in that episode. But why are you guys naked? Okay.
I think that we got a question somewhere on like the submissions that was like, what exactly were Hilbert and Eiffel doing for those multiple hours when they were naked?
You had to be there.
We'll never answer that.
What stays in whatever room that was.
What happened?
There was a Zack on Zack scene.
What was the third Zack?
I.e.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
Zach.
right.
Most
It's
of
like I'm not even here.
Right.
most of don't
Yeah, most of Don't Poke the Bear
was
was
Zach on Zach
right.
on Zach.
Kind of.
Don't forget to hold your breath. Yeah, anyway, I'm gonna stop quoting things
I
now.
just want to say it's too bad that we have to kill Eiffel in episode 47.
No. This live stream is now over.
This one is for the writers.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, writers, you ready?
All right.
How are you planning to fix the racism, specifically misogynoir, that was present in episodes 45 and 46? If you don't know how to fix it, when will you set up a way for the fans to talk to you about what could be done, such as a live chat where we can talk with you and not just at you? So, right, talk with you, not just at you on Twitter.
Okay.
Cool.
This is a really good question about a very important subject matter. I think that like before we just dive into the specifics, kind of the first thing that we want to say is that we on the creative team, we really try to make sure that whenever we do something like a character death or violence against a character, it is not treated without respect or without, with a sense of levity. It's not cavalier. It's not gratuitous. We always want to make sure that we bring the right perspective and the right context to those things. And I think that's sort of like our overriding mandate for the show has always been, Wolf 359 has always been about two things. It's always been about communication, and it's always been about personhood. And I think that one of the big things that we're always trying to say about personhood is that the root of all wrong is someone denying another person's personhood, or kind of going, the fact that you're a person is worthless to me because of
You're not enough of
X.
a person.
You're not enough of a person.
You are just a asset, or just a sample, or
Right.
just
a corporate
program,
thing.
collection of memories, whatever.
Right. And because of that, you are worth less, or you're worth less of my respect, you're worth less of my everything than a full person. And ultimately, the show is driving towards a point about people who are denied their personhood asserting themselves and kind of winning back their autonomy and sort of...
And coming to that realization
right.
as well.
Yes. Unfortunately, because of the nature of the beast, that means that a lot of the show is going to be about people denying other people their personhood. The same way that because it's a show about communication, 95% about the show is going to be about people sucking at communication. So that when you finally do get to that point where they communicate meaningfully, it is going to have sort of like the adequate...
That's when the story
upswing.
ends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So whenever we sort of do something like violence or like a character death, which is the ultimate denial of someone's personhood, we always want to try to frame it in as parts of that journey, as kind of like a step towards that ultimate conclusion, and that it is always seen as just not, gratuitous and therefore shock value, but rather there is a part of that. With the response that we got to episodes 45 and 46, we know that we failed in that endeavor, and that to many of our listeners, that was not clear as part of that context or as part of that trajectory. It just seemed arbitrarily hurtful and arbitrarily awful. And it's been something that has been the focus of many, many, many conversations between the creative team about what is the best way to kind of address that failure and that shortcoming. A lot of people have sort of said what should happen is that you go back and rewrite and reproduce those 2 episodes. And that is complicated for a variety of reasons. One of the main ones is that we have heard what a lot of people want us to do, and we have listened to what a lot of fans have written in, sort of telling us, here is what should be done to those episodes in order to fix these problems. We have gotten so many suggestions and so many really insightful, creative ways to address these problems.
They are wildly different.
They are wildly different, and a lot of them contradict each other. Sort of what person A wants can be in direct opposition to what person B thinks is the solution to the problem, even when those people are in complete agreement about what the problem is. And there's also all kinds of disagreements about scales. For some people, their suggestions are about fixing a scene. For other people, it's about fixing an episode. For other people, it's about changing the way that a character has been written, going back even through the beginning of this season. So we have yet to kind of find a way to go back and do those episodes in a way that feels like this addresses enough people's specific ideas and concerns that it feels like an adequate way to do this.
Yeah, that it's responsible in fixing the problem and
inclusive enough.
That it doesn't, that no one is sort of left out of a solution. And that's one of the reasons we've been grappling with this.
There's also the fact that Wolf 359 episodes that I want to go back and redo, all of them, like every single episode of Wolf 359 has something that I want to go back and fix. And I'm not talking about like, oh, I wish that this line was shorter and my like obsessive perfectionism. I'm talking about multiple things that people in the past have written in and kind of gone, I don't know if this is what you meant, but this was very insensitive in this way. And I now kind of go, oh my God, you're completely right. That got away from me.
This is the most like egregious version of it.
Yes, and the one that has touched the most people.
Yes, and sort of caused the most pain, and we are very, very sensitive to that.
But
however,
we have always taken an attitude of, if we go back to fix what's wrong with the show, we're going to be remaking season 1. We would be remaking season 1 to this day. We would just sort of be in this iterative cycle where we would not be able to advance. And I think that our attitude with these things has always been, we want to do our best to kind of take what we have learned from what people have told us about what we have done wrong and incorporate that into the future of the show and sort of make sure that what comes next in the story addresses it directly and kind of responsibly points back to, here is why this happened, here is the perspective, here is the context, here is the ultimate point of doing this, so that it's not just arbitrary horribleness. And there's plenty of things in season 3 that have come directly out of lessons learned from things in season 1 and season 2. That was a huge part of the writing in much of season 3. Just like everything that we're learning about this right now is going to be an enormous part of the writing in season 4. And I think that is where we are right now, and that seems to us like the most sensible way to go forward. This is by no means a closed case file for us. We are still reading everything that people send us in. We're still considering things. We're still talking about this. This is by no means something that we've just kind of made a final resolute decision on. So if you have thoughts on this matter, if you have things that you want us to know, if you have suggestions, if you have ideas, please keep sending them in. I know that I have not been posting a lot of things on social media recently. That's because my writing time has kind of become reading time. I'm getting more mail in the past 4 weeks than I've gotten in the rest of my life combined. And so much of that is now sort of just like what I do. I read everything carefully, backwards and forwards. All the resources that people have sent me have been wonderful. So please keep doing that and know that we're responding to what we can, but we're reading absolutely everything. Anything else that either one of you guys from the creative team want to say?
No, I think that was pretty extensive, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for asking that question.
Yes.
And with that, I just kind of wanted to open it up to the rest of the team and just see if, for all, the fandom's been having some pretty serious discussion lately, particularly relating to Lovelace's death and anti-black violence. What effect do y'all think this will have on the show as we move into season 4? Or just really any thoughts or things that you'd want to share or talk about now?
Yeah, I think this is going to have a huge effect on the writing of season 4 and
Yes.
on all of the other writing that we do for the rest
For
of
the
our
rest
lives.
of our lives.
And, we have had sort of a very clear idea of her arc from those initial discussions through what's happened this season, through where it's going. And I think we just have feel that necessity and feel that determination to do right by her. So that's what I would have to say about that.
This is an interesting conversation for me to say things in. I think this is not something that I tend to share with people, my opinions about stuff like this, about racial violence, about my place within that, especially in rooms where I often find myself to be the only woman of color. I also actively try to stay off of Tumblr as much as possible, and in the dance studio or in working. I have a rabbit hole crawling into wormhole obsessive tendencies that Tumblr does not agree with. It is better for me to stay away. So I do feel somewhat out of the loop on this and still feel pressure to say something. I am not all black people, nor do I know anything about the people who are taking issue with this specifically. And it sounds like there is a huge diversity in who this is resonating with and how. For me, racial violence is, for me, as an incredibly privileged person and an incredibly privileged person of color is still a reality that I live every day within this show and without this show. Like, it doesn't matter whether this narrative is in my life or not. I am a black woman. This is my life. Like, that this discussion is happening around this show, I frankly think is a blessing. But when this discussion was not happening around this show, it was a blessing to have the space to be creative in radio where I can work on my character, how I see my character, and people draw or imagine or think of the character however they think of the character. In projects with a visual component, I go through casting breakdowns, and it is, we need medium brown 5'7" women, flat iron. We are specifically looking for this size, like pants and this size bra and this waist size. Like, and I think that all kinds of actors go through variations on this. We use bodies and we use images to tell specific stories about each other. And I think that that is why it's so important to pay attention to what happens to Lovelace on this show. I frankly was not entirely sure it would be an issue because nowhere in the script does it say that Lovelace is a character of color. I am of color, but in like radio land, I wasn't sure how far people would take that. I guess I am one person to who this talk and this conversation is important and is my life. I am not the ultimate authority on this. I deeply appreciate hearing other people's opinions and views. I deeply appreciate when I feel heard and my opinions and views feel heard on this. And with this creative team, I always have. I have my own implicit biases, and those will show up. And the feedback that I get on that is something that I count as a blessing, and I think that we all do. This is, Wolf 359 is as good a place as any to have this specific conversation. When I took this role on, and Gabriel and I were talking, and it was like, oh yes, this character is amazing. Like, she's smart, and she is driven, and she comes from this specific background, and she has these memories, and we're going to create like her hopes and recreate her dreams and recreate her most embarrassing childhood moments. And also, like, she fought for everything she believed in, and she still flew into the sun and died and came back as an alien simulation who doesn't know she's an alien simulation. Like, that conversation, that is the context that I play this character. And that was 3 years ago. We could not have predicted what would happen in the world around us in the next 3 years, and how incredibly important the conversation around violence, around racial violence, and around violence and depiction of Black bodies and Black female bodies would come to the forefront of a national consciousness that hadn't happened in my lifetime ever before. yeah, if Wolf 359 is the place where we have this conversation, that's awesome. Let's do it. Like, I'm in, but we did not know that was gonna go down. I don't know. I'm done. Yeah, I talked for a long time.
No, that was great.
That was
Thank
wonderful.
you, Cece. The chat has asked us to give you a hug.
Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah,
Well deserved.
cool.
When
Sweet.
Gabriel.
Just a pat on the back. Jacobi, right?
Seriously, that was. You've, as a friend, we have known each other in college, have made a big difference for me personally in getting my head out of my ass on a lot of things going on in the world and going on in my front yard,
Thank
so
you.
to speak.
And you've been open to that, which is all you can ask of people, right? Like whether that reality is annoying or not is like, I personally sometimes get really frustrated, and you've seen me super frustrated at
Right.
you. It's really fun.
And mostly deserved. And you know, it's like I can't do anything about my blind spots except like be chill when a good friend points them out. And you know, I think there's a like bit of flare up and embarrassment that then kind of
Yeah.
cools off to like, okay, now what?
Yeah, like honestly, the best thing that like you've been able to do in those conversations is not take the flare-ups as reality. Like
right.
that the embarrassment and the like shame that is associated with kind of stepping on that or not being aware in that way is like, that has not driven your ability to listen to me. And that is a really cool thing.
That means the effing world said that.
Yeah, yeah.
Can I give you a hug?
Yeah. Sorry, Michelle.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
may I tag on as a white male in the room? No, I'm just kidding. Because something you said about audio drama.
No, go for it.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything
I know.
to refute what you're saying. Something you said about audio drama being whatever somebody wants it to be, because this medium is so different from visual medium.
Right.
It's a way lower budget, though
Yes.
still has a budget. Thank you, Patreon. But you're not specifying race. You're not specifying sexuality. Like Minkowski's husband came out like 2 seasons in, and whether she was straight or transgender or wherever she was on the spectrum was for anybody to create with whatever Emma's performance was. And that's it is an open book for people to see what they see and to have these conversations within that context that you give them. And that context, thank goodness we're having these conversations. Like, thank goodness we've begun to have them, because these places, like New York City, is a place where slaves were sold to like 200 years ago. You know, this is recent history. So these are all conversations we need to continue to have.
And the fact that personhood is a theme in this show, I think, is not an accident, you know, and it's not something that these conversations, that art like this is sort of participating in these conversations is really important. And even though this particular role in the conversation wasn't necessarily planned, I think that more than it just being sort of as good a place as any, I think it's a specific and excellent place for these conversations to be carried out, and for us as artists to participate in these ongoing like political and social conversations. Art is political. The art that we're making is political.
Yep.
And I think that it is sort of our role and our duty to continue to take that very seriously and to continue to participate and have a voice.
Yeah, like one of our big recording weekends was the weekend after the election. And
Yeah.
as I said and pretty much everybody else said, it was the best possible thing we could have been doing that weekend. As most of the nation was in mourning for what had just happened, and everyone was kind of reeling from the implications. It was just great to feel like we were working on something that was important, and that something that aligned with the things that we believe in, and that we were making art, that we were together and we were making art that we believed in. It was, I mean, especially in light of other things that been happening and keep happening. It's just been wonderful to be able to dedicate yourself to this project. So, I mean, thanks everybody for including me.
And
Our privilege to have you.
And as an artist, like how much can your art serve all of the things that you do as a person? Like, can you go through life and can you buy the goods off the grocery shelves that are like supporting the environmental things that you want the world to be? And so how can the show that you're a part of or the shows that you listen to also support those things? So thanks for engaging in the conversation, the tough conversations.
You mentioned the election. For one more sort of related to this question before we go to the chat, why do you want to make the series turn darker? And this is maybe back at the writerly among us. But I think, as an actor, I've definitely had a hand in the I think all of us have had a big hand in the creation of the show. So I think this is something that if anybody wants to dive in on, it's fair game. So why do you want to make the show darker? Trump won the U.S. election, and Nazis are gaining power in Europe, like
in Germany, like the neo-Nazi party is rising.
Far right, across Europe.
Oh, so right. This is okay. I'm just gonna read the question as it's written, and we'll work it out.
Thanks, Austria.
Trump won the election, Nazis are gaining power in Europe. Everything is pointing to a more racist world where institutionalized murder becomes accepted. We're nearing the tipping point on global warming, and Carrie Fisher and so many other icons and beacons of hope have died this year. Why do you want to make your podcast that takes place in space darker? Isn't the Earth dark enough already?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, this is one of those things where a couple of Venn diagram circles kind of overlap. Part of it was that the design of the show was always to kind of get darker as it goes along.
Get more complicated, expand in its scope, get darker, have the stakes get higher. And a lot of this was planned like
in the depths of the Obama administration,
in
all the way back in the golden days of 2014.
The salad days,
And
the idols of Obama
the
years.
salad days.
Yes.
And we were writing with the glory of a Hillary Clinton administration
Right,
on the horizon.
Yes.
We were all under the impression that we would proudly have our first female president in this country as we were brainstorming all of these things.
Yep.
Right. With that said, though, I often find that works of art that reflect not necessarily just the darkness, but kind of the turbulence of difficult times are often the things that help me to make sense of it. I personally, sort of in more dark times, I tend to gravitate towards things that are grappling with those issues. I don't think that anything kind of in this season was a reflection of the world around it consciously. I think that maybe unconsciously we were sort of like bringing a little bit of kind of everything that we were dealing with into it. But yeah, for me, this sort of like idea of when the world sort of becomes increasingly divided and increasingly darker, art should offer some solace from that. I can completely understand it and I can completely respect that idea, but it's unfortunately not the way that my brain is wired.
Right, you guys know what he watches, right? We've talked about Farscape, we've talked about Firefly.
And Battlestar Galactica.
Battlestar Galactica.
But I mean, there are different kinds of art, and I think that they're all important. After the election, I rewatched Bob's Burgers, and it was so necessary. It was so necessary, you guys. You need art that supports you and sort of gives you an escape, or that shows you like how to find joy in things and how to laugh, and you need supportive art. That's important. Our brains are not wired to make that supportive art. We like Joss Whedon a lot, and I think, like you say, one of the smartest things our film professor, one of our film professors said when we were in college is, life doesn't make any sense. A movie I can understand.
Right.
And like, that's sort of where we are. You take the turbulence and you take the darkness and you take the insecurity and the chaos around you, and you can use all of that to make something that reflects it,
but makes
sense to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tragedy has a symmetry to it.
Right.
That is understandable and comprehensible in a way that real life often isn't. Yeah. And that kind of art is so important too.
And while not being escapist, that kind of art is a form of resistance in its own right. And that can be really important in dark times too, to sort of embrace the darkness and sort of explore it and navigate it, and maybe make it more complicated in certain ways, and to take sort of Brechtian approach, like sort of figure out ways in which like villains are more complicated too, and so to sort of you humanize everything and sort of really illuminate the ways in which our world is full of complicated evil and good and strange and beautiful and wonderful and terrible things, and to sort of explore that through art, even if it's dark, can be a really powerful way of transforming the world too.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of cite something a little cliche here, like you can't have light without dark, and I think if and I think like when you say like, why are you making the show darker? Why would you want to? It's kind of almost like, well, define darker. Like, you don't want to sweep things that are unpleasant under the rug. Mm-hmm. That's one of like the worst things you can do to them. Not saying that like, I mean, escapist art is valid and wonderful. Bob's Burgers, I wouldn't call sweeping things under the rug. No, it doesn't at all. But of playing, like taking out that darkness and looking at it and experimenting with it and finding out things about it. And, well, you can't have like happy endings if you don't have a conflict.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Pain is interesting.
Also, can I...
Noah just summed up when we trained over like 7 minutes. Over like 7 minutes, Noah just banned 3 words.
Yeah, pain is interesting, and also like where I don't know. I'm kind of personally of the view that it's not the earth that's dark. It's just, or like especially dark. It's just that wherever humans are, there are human-like complications. Mm-hmm. Like that would is
right.
We cannot escape ourselves. There are humans in space, therefore we have problems similar to the ones where humans are on Earth.
We carry our darkness with us.
Yeah. Like that's who we are. Like.
Oh yes.
It makes it interesting. Hopefully we don't accidentally kill everybody in the process.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Always the hope.
There's the hope.
There's just the hope.
But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where I am on that. There's no getting out of like, this would not exist if we were not who we are. Mm-hmm. All of us, every human together. It's not like the darkness lives outside somewhere.
The rest of the questions will be answered exclusively by Cece and Noah.
Truly the best of the
Is and the nuance.
What do we got?
Okay, so we're going to go to the chat. And
It's a chat!
I got one for... Oh boy. We have lots and lots of requests.
Okay.
For the blunt trauma face.
I can't put that on the Yeah, and the reason...
What are you trying to break my camera equipment here?
Can't break the camera. And the second reason is because in an audio trauma, the blunt force trauma face is whatever you want to do.
That's right. Like,
So whatever Noah and I know it is something I might reveal after the show is over.
It's not a good enough answer.
I broke the rule by doing the, what was it, the kit...
Oh, the angry kitten
face.
Yes.
Yeah, but you break all the rules. Other Zach doesn't have to break the rules.
I got
Other side.
That's right.
Rules.
Right.
We can all be different. Oh, I'm sorry. Tiffy is gonna have to not be part of this stream because Tiffy is not in this house.
Tiffy is your cat.
She hates travel.
An hour away on the above
Tiffy is my
ground
cat
train.
that I recently adopted. For context, if you don't know what my cat does, which you probably don't. If you don't know.
Please God.
All right.
Was the kind of juxtaposition of Lovelace and Minkowski in their respective interviews on purpose? Harper's Mirrors, thank you.
Their respective
They're like
interviews,
in job interviews.
You mean
The
in the
mini
mini
episodes.
episodes? Gotcha.
A bit.
Yeah, I'm trying to think about like the discussions that the three of us had, and I think that one of our main discussions was how do we make them different, because they were sort of like a lot of like
My first drafts were so similar, it wasn't good.
right, because a lot of like these are people in similar career positions being
And like,
interviewed
and they're
for the
coming
same
in
job.
sort of the same way. It was the polygraph that we settled on. It was like, that's going to be that.
That's
They
the
came
kind
up
of
with the smart
device.
thing.
Yes.
The polygraph test.
Yeah.
No, but there are connections.
There are.
I think Rachel decides one of Minkowski isn't funny and Lovelace is, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's definitely, I mean, Rachel definitely has a preference
Yes.
for one over the other.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I think it's really
Maybe that was made clear. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Fight it,
I would agree with you. But yeah, I think that like parallels were definitely there. We struggled more to make them different rather than to make them similar. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I remember talking about that. You guys talking about that in our recording of that thing.
Right.
That sweltering day
Yeah.
with the sirens. God. We were recording in Zach Valenti's house, which is awesome. And
Yes.
It is great. It is
July.
And-
great
And
apartment.
not
Right
hot,
next
white.
to a really loud intersection that all the trucks go through Bushwick on.
Yes.
It's an
it is-
art to record there.
Yeah.
In the
It's
middle of
cool.
New York summer without any AC
Well,
running.
we have to turn the AC
yeah.
off.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
before-
yeah,
Yeah, you have to
turn
the AC off to record.
Yeah, if by an art you mean a Jenga tower of discomfort.
Zach, you say potato, I say potato. That's okay.
Yeah, we already did that question.
Yeah.
I do feel like, Gabriel, your definition of art might perhaps lean more towards the Jenga tower of discomfort.
Oh man. Edits iTunes description of show.
All right, come on. Next,
All right.
what do we got?
All right. Wow. For
Stay
for
somewhat
the record,
focused.
this is question number 9. So for the actors, who is your favorite character not voiced by you? No. Just saying, what would Doug Eiffel say right now?
Oh, Lord.
And for the writers, what are the favorite episodes of the show that you've written and that you didn't write?
Okay.
So let's start with the actors.
got rude and cut.
Favorite character.
Not played by you. So you can't say the easy one.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Hira. I think that early on from Gabriel and I's interactions about the show and conversations about the show before we were even doing it, I am a huge fan of the movie Her. I just like that story kind of like hit a nerve. Yeah, I think that AI is something that's going to be a big part of our lives in the next like little chunk. I think.
Very technical portion of time.
Yes. I think by the time that I die, there's going to be
30 little
technology.
chunks
No, it's a little chunk.
Little chunks.
It doesn't have
chunk.
any T's in it. It's low.
So yeah, I think
I'm
that.
putting in a request for Zach Valenti to rewrite every single history textbook. that
In little
I would do it. History textbook publishers.
Install that browser extension.
All right. What about the rest of you?
Man, I'm just trying to think of my Disney character.
Yeah, Noah's all about the delayed gratification.
Yeah, I think I'm a big Doug Eiffel fan. I don't know. Something about just the wisecracking, like, I mean, Jacobi does a bit of that too, but Doug Eiffel's just on another level, you know?
Yeah.
He's up there.
Dougie Bob with the win.
Yeah,
Jacobi. He cares about what you think.
he does.
A lot.
I'm gonna give kind of a weird answer. I would say because I love Hira. What?
I know, keep going.
I really loved the plant monster. I really loved it. I love when Minkowski was like, he just doesn't want to be in the dark. I loved that. But I'm also like the plant monster kind of reminds me of Hilbert. And I really love Hilbert as a character.
Can you describe your holiday presents to us that involve?
Actually, I have them with me because I knew that Zach and Ariela were going to be here. I have a surprise.
Go get it while
Go get
somebody
it.
else answers.
Cool.
Yeah, what about you, Cece?
I have two favorite characters as well. I love the plant monster, and I have three. I love Cutter too.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
Scotty Shoemaker's just irresistible.
also that, but yeah, the plant monster,
Cutter and
Hilbert.
nice.
I do really like Hilbert.
I'm at work right now.
Yes, you are.
I'm just gonna plug in my headphones.
Emma, there's so many bottles. Do you perhaps work at a wine bar?
What was that?
Do you work at a wine bar?
I'm sorry, I missed.
It's
that
okay.
last piece.
Yeah, one moment.
we're just-
Also, everybody, this is Emma Sher-Jarko, who plays Minkowski. She is joining us remotely for
Hi,
a
everybody.
little while.
From the wine store that she works at.
Yes.
1 second, Emma.
Yes,
you're a
I
little
support
bright, so I'm just
tasting.
gonna bring your brightness down. 1 second. I know I
can also
shan't
no.
dim your light, but I shall in this moment.
There's a lot of light here. There's a lot of fluorescent light too.
Yeah. Emma, the current question is, what is your favorite character not played by yourself?
I like this question. And I would have to go with Dr. Hilbert. He is.
Emma.
Yes, game respects game.
Ariela,
I
Zach,
feel
what
like
about
we
you
have
guys?
lunch at Scott.
I'm also Camp Hilbert.
Ah.
When does this happen?
I do like this.
Oh, come on, alone.
It's the accent! How could
Don't
you
act so surprised.
I think my favorite. There's something about alien intelligence finding humanity or not understanding humanity that really resonates with me. So it's Hira and Memoria and an Am I Alone Now? It's like the times when I get to a different understanding of what the show's about.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Writers?
And the question for us was, favorite episodes not written by us? I think for me it's still Minkowski commanding.
Awesome.
Which, don't get me wrong, you've written so many great scripts for the show, Sarah, and you too, Zach. But there is just something about getting like a first draft of something where my note was, this is great. Can I just have everything be more ridiculous? Just go back and make everything twice as ridiculous, and this will be great. That's one of my favorite memories working on the show.
One of my favorite memories working on the show is the 11th hour night before we were recording rewrites of Memoria, where you and I were shouting Maxwell lines like crazy people in this office.
Yes.
And Memoria is my favorite episode of the show, and it was not written by me. So that answers that. I've said before. I think that's as close as we've gotten to art.
Still some ways to go, though.
Yeah. To the Jenga tower of.
What about you, Zach? Writer Zach.
Yeah, writer Zach.
Favorite episode that I wrote.
That you did not write.
Well, no, it starts with the one that you wrote and then.
Yeah, that was right.
Listening to the question.
Nobody understood it that way.
I went straight for the interesting parts.
Yeah, I mean, that I didn't write is impossible to choose. I mean, I don't know. I find it really hard to choose between Memoria and Mayday. Those two for me are like
that Eminem set.
Just and it's
I mean,
like
Mayday.
Mayday.
It's those
Thank you for
And
laughing.
again.
Thank you for laughing.
For me, it's like Mayday pushes the audio drama format in a way that I find really compelling and interesting with the montage, while Memoria thematically is a little bit closer to home. And so I'm not going to choose. I'm just going to say those two.
Fair enough.
And then spacesuits are itchy.
Classic.
It is a
Classic.
classic.
Just talking
I like
about
that one.
Alrighty.
Nice. Emma?
Oh, well, my favorite episode that I wrote was probably Fire and Brimstone.
Really?
That's my favorite episode that I wrote.
The only episode she
And also
wrote.
somewhere in the middle. No, I had a lot of fun writing, and that was a really great experience for me. Okay. Zach is trying to position me correctly.
Sorry, I'm like directing
Is
in
this-
like text.
is
That's
this-
great.
is
Yes.
this good?
You look great.
Okay,
Say it.
I'll just say like this. So yeah, it's really hard. I agree. Memoriam, May Day. For me personally, as an actor, it would be between, I think, Minkowski commanding. That was just like ridiculously fun to do, as well as All Things Considered.
Yes!
That was a really great one. But also for me, Pan Pan.
Oh
I
yeah.
think Pan Pan's a really great episode.
Yeah.
Probably start season 3.
Awesome.
All right.
So
Why haven't we talked about Fun Zone?
for the room, but maybe first for Ariela, since you are present, I have a if Ariela present. From Kepler and Rachel's conversation in Kansas, it seems the two of them don't get along very well.
What?
Is there a reason behind this?
Oh. Yeah, I think they're very competitive with one another.
Yeah.
I think they don't get along at all. And I think that's because they're both supremely good at their jobs. And I think they're both a little bit vying to be sort of Cutter's number one. And so I think there's sort of that competition just to sort of like, who does Daddy love the most? But I think there's also a just sort of like, who can just be the best of the best at what they do? And they both kind of think that it's them. And while what they do is, I think, slightly different, it's still, I think, so close that they're definitely sort of constantly, almost sibling rivalry is sort of how I see it a little bit in terms of their relationship. You are giving me the most amazing looks right now. Do you disagree?
Well, I didn't share that experience because it's like
Oh,
competing
yeah.
with an actor is a totally different type. It's like, man, we're just both doing our things. We're gonna get our own things on our own track. He's like, you're in the office, you're doing your thing in the office, and I'm in the field. I'm doing my
Right.
thing in the field. You know what I'm saying? So.
Whereas I played their stand-in when we recorded those
We didn't record
mini
together.
episodes.
We didn't record together
And
at
it
all,
was
so there's none of that. I didn't get that.
That was
feel
just
from
like-
arguably the scariest experience of my life to be on the other end of both of these people.
Right.
No, but I think that there is something to what you're saying, Zach, of like, these are people that are often trying to accomplish the same goals and sort of serve one person. And one person's approach is, put me on the rocket ship, I will go take care of it.
Right.
And the other person's approach is, I will manage the empire of infrastructure that it takes to like get this done.
Right.
And there is, that difference of just accomplishment philosophies of like, they are both necessary sides of a spectrum, but they are on opposite ends of that sort of dichotomy.
And I think these like the infrastructure managing people are more important and like more talented in most ways than like they're totally different skill sets, but being on like production side and creative side and the arts, like those infrastructure people are incredible and so important to what happens. And like infrastructure and Goddard futuristics, it's got to be so complicated.
Well, and that's the other thing that I was going to say. I think that a little bit Rachel may have not an inferiority complex, because I don't think that she feels inferior to Kepler at all, but I think that she knows that he thinks that his job is more important than her job. And so I think that a little bit she's always trying to be like, well, screw you, like exactly what you're just saying. Like without me, like you would be up the creek.
Right.
But yeah.
For sure.
Are you saying Kepler has a diva complex?
But in that episode, though, Kepler thinks he's competing against somebody else. So he's not.
Right.
You have different information, or you might have different information than he has at that point. Because
Right.
I don't know if Cutter's already told you about that decision before. I assume he has. So you might just be messing with me.
Right.
But at that point, when I come in, I'm like, I know I did the right thing. I know I messed up,
Yeah.
but this guy ahead of me is not good for the job.
Right.
So I'm competing with guys in my field,
Right.
in my lane. As opposed to-
Richard Littlewood.
Richard.
Yep.
While we're talking about Kepler, Zach Libresco.
Yeah.
The beginning of season 3 sort of appeared. So this is the person who's asking this question. Appeared to me, at least to me, to be very close to Maxwell and Jacobi. But towards the end of the season, it seemed that their closeness was more to fear than loyalty. In your opinion, is this an accurate description of their relationship? Does Kepler actually care about Jacobi and Maxwell, or are they just people he works with?
Yeah.
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 No pressure.
Well, I got a lot of that information from the mini episodes and kind of how people are recruited and what they're interested in and why they're on the project. So for our recently departed Maxwell, I think what brings her onto the project, what gets me to get her onto the project is like the scientific advancement, the possibility of the resources at hand to make the kind of advancement and to have the license to do it when other people are saying you can't do it. Mm-hmm. So what's enticing, how I serve her is being the person who says, here, play with these toys. These are your resources. Like, I trust your ethics. I trust you to do the job. I'm just going to let you go and do it. So there's affection, but it's more like I have the keys and she makes the rocket go-go. Right. For Jacobi, like, there's more of an, I think there's a lot more about the history of how much I ride him. I don't know if it's I think there is like there's definitely a longer history between them, and more of like I'm near an explosive, you're near an explosive. What's the right thing to do in this situation? Like they've been through the wars together in a different way in a different connecting way than Maxwell and Kepler have. Would you guys have thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, I think Jacobi's been Kepler's like first mate for a while, even if they're not mates.
And he rose to that point. He did not start there. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think Maxwell's a bit newer.
Yeah.
To the pairing. I mean I know that. I don't know why I said I think. And I do agree with you, Zach, that it is professionalism first. I mean, I think we've seen several times in the series how Maxwell bucks Kepler because I'm like, wait, no, you made me the boss of myself. Like, I think I consider us, you are my commanding officer and I'm going to do my job because I need to do my job in order to do what I want to do. But you've given me a lot of autonomy and it's not autonomy I'm willing at all to give up.
Right.
So like you consider me an expert on things and you're going to defer to me on stuff. And I know that. And I expect you to. Right.
And I think one of Kepler's like huge shortcomings and virtues is delegating, but also not having enough knowledge to be able to like be a jurisdicting over the stuff he's delegating.
Yeah, and Maxwell knows that.
So you're such an expert. I'm like, explain to me again, which is a great writing device as well.
Yeah.
For the listeners, of course.
Yeah.
But
thank you. I think so too.
But it's like you have that autonomy because he's a good delegator and because he can't possibly do the things that you're doing.
Yeah.
So some people might not know this, but we spent, before the season started, the three of us were in a room and Gabriel had us sort of do these improvisations where, we would have somebody want something. Usually was, Kepler would be trying to find something out or would be asking for something. And we would practice how the two of us would act, whether we would blame one another or whether we would,
cover
do things, whether we'd be scared or whether
Yeah.
we'd be confident. And we went through that a lot. So that was a good preparation for...
Yeah.
Well, we have to do that a lot this season.
So, awesome. Before we go back to the chat, while we have Emma with us, I wanted to just get your take. We talked a little bit about the deaths that happened in the show, and this is kind of a big moment for your character. Could you talk a little bit about what that was like, getting that script and taking it all the way into the studio?
Yeah. I mean, those episodes were very hard to record, and they were very hard for me to get to a place to reconcile everything that Minkowski has been with this choice that she makes. And I think part of it is just like, it was something Gabrielle and I talked about briefly, was just the shock value of it, and her decision to shoot Maxwell might not have even been a decision. It might have just been an instinctual reaction, and then she deals with it because she has to. But I do think that this is a huge step for Minkowski, because another thing we've talked about is how she may have killed people in a military setting, but she's never killed anyone so intimately. And also to feel the responsibility also for Hilbert and Lovelace's deaths. I think that we will see how this affects Minkowski a lot in the coming season, I imagine. And it's something that, how do you deal with that? I don't know yet. I'm excited to work on the ramifications of those decisions next seasons, but yes, it was very hard. It was very important to have everybody there together in the recording studio when we recorded specifically 45 and 46, and I think it's a very hard decision that we made, and I think that it was a very hard decision for Minkowski's character. It's a very big decision for her, but I'm really interested to see what happens from it, how she grows, how she learns from it.
I think we're all excited. I think we're all looking forward to seeing
we're all anxious.
Anxious to see the gravity of that and sort of the inertia of that in the next season. Do you have? Yeah. I know the scripts don't exist, so there's like kind of to avoid spoilers, but also like nothing to spoil at this moment.
Yeah.
Yes. What do you have in mind?
What do I have in mind for Minkowski?
on the hiatus, while we're in our trenches developing, where's your head at?
Well, my instincts with having worked with the character for a while is that in typical Minkowski fashion, I think she's going to bury her feelings for a long time and not deal with almost a sort of trauma with what happened at the end of this season. She's going to soldier on because she has to, and there's new emergencies every day. But I think that it will come to a head, and I think that there is a big part of Minkowski that feels very, very guilty for what she's done and how she contributed to what happened. And so I think that she's going to have to reconcile with that. And I think that, in order, if our dear heroes are ever going to make it off of the Hephaestus, I think that for Minkowski, as part of her journey, she's going to have to come to terms with the decision that she's made, either forgiving herself or not. And I don't know exactly what that's going to look like. I think there's going to be a fair amount of rage at Kepler. Sorry, Zach. But I don't know yet how exactly it's going to manifest, but I'm excited to go into that territory because I don't think it's really a territory we've gone into yet. And for me personally as an actor, I don't think, with the exception of the end of this season, it's never been quite that dark and never quite that real. And so I don't know, I'm looking forward to, or I'm anxious to see how that manifests. I'm excited about the acting challenges involved in that and the nuances. In terms of, what's specifically going to happen plot-wise, I don't know.
Well, we'll find out, won't we?
Yeah.
I know.
The chat has asked us to give you a hug. We'll do our best through the internet. Also,
Hug back.
it sounds like they have and will immortalize Kepler riding Jacobi hard. Phrasing.
Yeah.
Phrasing, Libresco.
Oh.
And to go to the chat,
Jacobi.
I really appreciate, Lindsay,
Jack.
thank you for being so patient with questions about LGBTQ representation.
Oh, yeah.
We actually have one in the deck that I was sort of waiting to get, but we
You
should
wanna
just
do that
jump
now?
to it.
Yeah, let's just jump to it.
And Charlie, thanks for adding that. It moves fast in there, y'all. Okay, let's see. Okay. So, what is happening with the LGBTQ plus representation that we were talking about? We had those long and difficult conversations so that you, once again, could converse with us how you can do better. But all you did was to make Eiffel's backstory excruciatingly heterosexual. Why do you want to represent straight people so badly and not queer people? And being LGBTQ plus is not just about romance. Oh, come on. Okay, there we go. Trans people exist, yo.
Cool.
Thank you for this question.
Yes.
Yeah, great question.
Thank you. In terms of, basically, yeah, you're absolutely right. This is a not small problem with the show. It is more of a large, glaring issue. And I think that it goes back to, when we started this show, me and all of the painful naivete of a 24-year-old writer, I had sort of that attitude that Zach referenced a little bit ago of we're just not going to define anyone, and we're going to leave it open for people to pour themselves into these characters and to see these characters as whatever they want. And we're going to have backstories for the characters because we need a specific thing to write about, but that's never going to manifest in the show. And we almost made it through an entire season before we found out that that was incorrect, and that Minkowski and Eiffel's backstories felt like something that was important for the characters to address with each other. And we went into those backstories, and unfortunately, because of that, we created this terrible imbalance in the show where the only two romantic relationships that have in any way been addressed explicitly are both heterosexual ones. And there's been no explicit mention of anything other than straight heterosexual relationships, which is a very bad imbalance. And as the question sort of touched upon, we had this conversation, and the timing of it worked out that we were having this sort of discussion right before Limbo came out, which in Limbo we discover things about Eiffel's past, including that he has had at least one heterosexual relationship. And that was very unfortunate. Limbo had gotten written months before, it had been recorded for weeks, it had been edited, it was just
Pretty much done at that point.
It was done at that point. It was just sort of the unfortunate timing that came out to make us seem like we were going for maximum insensitivity. And I've talked to a lot of people about this already and kind of apologized that it seemed that way. I assure you that was not us intentionally doing that in response to the conversation. It's something that I want to address, and something that I want to make a active task for the creative team in season 4 to correct that imbalance. While at the same time, I want to make sure that it's done in the way that is true to form for the show. One of the hard things about the show is that if there's something that every major cast member has in common with all the other cast members, is that these are all people that have a extreme difficulty talking about themselves and sharing about themselves. That is the characteristic that defines all of them. So it's hard to bring things up to the surface without it being sort of the level of scrutiny that Eiffel was under this season. But it's something that we want to do our darndest to correct in the new season, and to make sure that we are able to balance out sort of those representations of straight relationships that we've done while still doing it sensibly and meaningfully to the best of our ability. Yeah.
Right, and to sort of echo that, and yes, and as a person that finds themselves on the sexual preference spectrum, I'm very sensitive to tokenism. And, when we started writing the show, I was not out. And I, have a lot of compassion for people who are not out. And while I think there is power and freedom and all sorts of beauty, and if you ask me my straight opinion, I think that there shouldn't be any reason to not be out. And I can get it. And the situation that we had constructed in this world of, lies and deceit in space with imminent death, and who these people are, it just, it comes down to would they really be talking about these things? And so yeah,
which is why it takes over 2 years for Minkowski to mention that she has a husband.
Yeah.
Right, and so it's just one of those things where it's I don't pretend that we're doing it right.
Yeah.
And I definitely don't want to say we're doing anything correctly. And I just want to sort of let you get as deep into our heads as you can about where we're coming from with this and why it doesn't look the way that many of you have expressed you'd like it to look, how I would love to have an excuse to or a context that would feel authentic to the narrative, if that is saying it the way that I intended. Communication's hard,
Main theme of the show.
And yeah, so it's in the same in the same way that we don't want to do any representation injustice. I think that kind of is there for me in my voice in the writer's room around the issue of LGBTQ representation.
Yeah, it's something that's on our minds and has been for a while. The show was created with characters who were in this sort of very hyper-formalist balance with each other. You had characters who were more rebellious, characters who were more
robotic. And I'm not talking about Hilbert.
No.
Sorry, Hira. I was talking about Hilbert.
But I was
Communication.
Communication is fine. They both start with H, man.
Thank you.
I got you. And they sort of existed in that balance so that they could play off of each other in interesting ways. And as you both have been saying, we are aware that this imbalance exists. It sort of happened over time because those representations felt like really compelling story decisions. But I feel it, and I think that our job won't be done before we do our best to address and try and restore some of that balance.
And all I know is Kepler's been riding Jacobi hard for years.
and we're not saying that's canon, but we're not saying it's not canon.
Well said, that.
Well said,
Well said.
Yeah.
Great joke, Noah.
What joke?
So I don't want to run this too short. If there's anybody else, but
No.
Emma does have to go, and I want to get some. Do you have anything to say about this, or anything?
Yeah, just briefly. I mean, I agree with everything you all have said. I think that part of what happened is that I think we initially started out the show with the intention of not bringing sexuality and romance into the show, and I think that that's sort of impossible. I think that in a show about communication and identity, I think that was an oversight on all of our parts.
Agreed.
And so it's really wonderful to have this community who can hold a mirror up to us and say, this is what you're missing, and it's true. It's absolutely true. And again, I'm looking forward to hopefully addressing it in a thoughtful and well integrated way in the 4th season.
Thank you for saying that. That definitely reminds me to just extend a thank you to y'all, the people who listen to this show, especially the folks who brought the discussion up on Tumblr.
And in other mediums.
And in other mediums.
Like, this is not just like a Tumblr.
Yeah.
Right, it's not just a Tumblr
discussion.
thing, for sure.
Yeah.
But I definitely, for those of you that I've connected with, and those of you that have weighed in on this, it's in the sort of trust and just openness of your listening that I felt comfortable to come out like publicly online after I've been, sort of slowly this year letting my friends and family know. And yeah, I just really want to acknowledge you guys for not stepping over anything. And holding us accountable as creators and as human beings, and we really appreciate it and we love you. Thank you.
This is true.
While we still have you on the line, Emma.
Yes.
So we did this thing earlier where Team Jacobi had to go around summing up characters in one word. Could we get the Minkowski? It can be maybe 3 words per character, but how?
No.
Okay, one word. Okay,
One
okay.
word.
One word.
One word per
Yeah,
character.
we didn't
for
give
everyone.
Noah any leeway.
Yeah, right.
So one character per,
Yeah,
or 1 word per
that's
each
right.
character.
That's
Okay.
right. And what?
Here, Zach, why don't you give her the character names?
Okay, great.
It'd be like word
Yeah.
association.
Somebody else, because I've been talking for a while.
Ariela,
All the
you
character names. Okay, Kira.
Can you hear her?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Kira, thoughtful.
Eiffel.
Surprising.
Hilbert.
Hilbert, intelligent.
Lovelace.
Strong.
Cutter.
Wicked.
Kepler.
Kepler, infuriating.
Jacobi.
Jacobi, disappointing.
Maxwell.
Maxwell, ingenious.
Rachel.
Rachel, feisty.
Did I miss anybody? I tried to go in order.
Plant Monster.
Does she do herself?
No, she does not do herself.
So I tried to
I don't do myself.
Plant monster.
Great.
Oh yeah, Plant Monster.
Plant monster. Long lost love.
And
I know I cheated there.
There's romance.
recording of Sam Lambert.
Well, actually, for the plant monster, remorse.
Aww.
Yeah.
Alrighty, next question.
I also, by the way, that's one thing I still want to address is that Minkowski has never expressed her feelings about the plant monster's death. Just something to think about for season 4.
Duly noted.
For the first half of season.
It can be a long arc, you guys.
if
There's
you
no
need
discretion.
Episode, the Plant
Right.
Monster again.
Sure.
The 3-parter.
Awesome.
A 3-parter, yeah.
Okay, last question, because I know you got to
Yes.
run. What musical best prepared Minkowski for the events of season 3?
Oh, boy.
And why?
I mean, it's gotta be West Side Story, guys.
Not like
Make your case.
Follow up, why?
For West Side Story?
Yeah.
yeah.
For season 3 specifically.
Are you
Yes,
Tony?
for season 3 specifically.
Rivaling
That
sides.
gets it.
Oh, okay, sure.
Who's the
Yes.
I know.
Who are the Jets?
Rivaling sides. Connection is found between them in some cases,
Kira and Maxwell.
People
but
die.
Oh, wait,
unfortunately,
yeah. Am I right?
ultimately, could not be overcome.
You're
I'm Tony.
That's pretty good, Emma.
Who are the Sharks and who are the
Thank you.
Jets?
What's that?
Which ones are the Sharks and Jets?
I really want the Team Hephaestus to be the Sharks,
Yeah.
But
but I think we're the Jets.
Then
Because like you mostly see the story through the Jets' perspective, but also the Jets are deeply problematic, and yeah.
bless you, Emma.
That sounds about right.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Sorry, I couldn't come for more. I just have to, go back to slinging wine.
Do it.
Sling
There's
that
also like
wine.
blizzard happening here.
Really?
Wine slinging in
Yeah.
the snow.
No one slings it better.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Thank you so much for joining us, and
Keep the good people
Bye.
in Florida warm.
Thanks for everything.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Awesome. So while I turn off this thing,
Emma Sherjarko is the greatest. You guys.
she's amazing.
So great.
Oh, nothing.
Don't worry about it.
All right. I'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.
If
Bye.
you have any questions on the internet too.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
So while I turn off the Skypes, so this is Asterix slides Michelle Agresti $20 Asterix. Tell me absolutely everything about Dr. Alana Maxwell!
Absolutely.
Exclamation point. Like, specifically, what do you think about the relationship between Maxwell and Hera?
Ooh. Okay. So first, I'm gonna say something that I wanted to talk about because when I was cast and we, discussed the character, we did our little improvs and stuff. Gabriel wrote a backstory and sent it to me, and I was thrilled because I don't know how he did it, but he somehow nailed certain aspects of my high school and middle school experience that I had never revealed, at least to Gabrielle.
I promise I did not stalk you.
And it was just, it talked about how
Nobody asked.
Maxwell very quickly, it was very quickly evident in her small country hometown that she was brilliant. That she was very brilliant in a way that, brilliant in an academic way, let me clarify, that she was brilliant at school. And she, and that's kind of like the coattails that she rode throughout her life, and she, she achieved things very early. Like she went to high school early, she went to college early, she went to grad school early. But because she was so focused on this academic part of her life, and because she had kind of eschewed social things, like we know that she's got a restraining order on her family, she kind of eschewed social relationships to some extent, or at least what we have conceived of as normal standard relationships with people. So she kind of, and she was younger than everybody else, so she kind of grew up and reached puberty in a surprising way to her. And it was she had been considered in an academic sense as a brilliant child and a brilliant young woman for so long that all of a sudden she was now a sexual being and people looked at her that way and she didn't know how to deal. And I think that shaped a lot of Maxwell's personality, how it was almost one day she was treated differently and she didn't know how to use it. And Maxwell is a person who uses everything that she has. She's a person who uses the tools that are available to her. I think this can get morally shady, but she's on her own moral compass. So that's something that was probably initially, I was always in love with Alana Maxwell because we had a lot of direction in steering these characters, and I kind of immediately seized upon the idea of she's the only girl on a team of boys and she's totally brilliant and she's younger than them and she's probably smarter than them. And but that backstory really sealed the deal for me, and I sent a very ecstatic email to Gabrielle about it, being how did you know? Okay, but as for Maxwell and Hera, the relationship between the two of them, to kind of get back to that concept of personhood, Maxwell has a very interesting and a different relationship with AIs. They're her passion, they're her life's work. I don't think she considers them to be equivalent to humans. I think she considers it something different, but of equal or of more value. But I think she considers the two things differently. I also think Maxwell has trouble interacting with humans, which is why the relationship with Jacobi is so important. So the relationship between Hira and Maxwell, I can speak for what I think Hira is to Maxwell, is that like there's someone who can finally talk to her not like she's a person. I think the humans on the spacecraft interact with Hira like she's a human. And they kind of sometimes forget that she's not. Like, if you look at the episode, I Am Alone Now. Am I Alone Now? Where Hira's talking, like, people are always asking her, like, Hira, are you listening? And she's like, I can always hear you. Or if you looked at the Memories in Memoria, or even the last episode, like, Maxwell would have known at that funeral that Hira doesn't really know what death is. Like, Maxwell would have known that. Because Maxwell knows that Hira's not a person. A human. That Hira's not a human. Let me make that distinction between human and person.
Right.
So I think there was this like very special and almost and immediate deep trust between the two of them. And as has been pointed out, Hira is a very impressive AI. So Maxwell respects that. And you're kidding yourself if Maxwell doesn't know that Hira tried to escape. So, like, Maxwell knows this. And so I think Maxwell uniquely respects Hira as an AI. And I think she understands Hira's sudden, deep relief that she's talking to a human who knows what's going on. Not entirely, but somebody who is sympathetic and somebody who's aware that they're different from her.
And who can treat her on her own terms.
Yeah.
Who's not just projecting kind of the terms and the needs of themselves onto her, but who can understand.
Yes. So not a burrito-loving buffoon.
Sure.
I think that relationship's valuable in its own way.
Right.
It's just that
this is also the first person who can speak her language.
Yeah.
That was an insensitive and
literally,
jokey
she
way.
speaks
Right, exactly. That was an insensitive, jokey way of saying, like, here's somebody who gets her in a way that no one else has before.
Yeah.
Without, like, obvious malintent. Price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Price and Maxwell. But yeah, no, I think they're like the fact that Maxwell truly understands that she's different and does not have the same experiences as Hira makes them much closer, makes the relationship really special. As for, I feel like this was like asking something about like romantic as kind of ish. That was never addressed, and I think for myself as an actress and Maxwell, it's kind of a relief, I think.
Yeah.
That because it's an AI human relationship, that like that like Maxwell isn't being judged or seen through her body in a sexual way, because that I think that I know was very difficult for Maxwell to deal with when it happened. As that happens. So yeah, I think that was really important for Maxwell, and I think that's also why she likes dealing with AIs, because they don't have bodies and she has a body. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Cool.
Wow, well, it's amazing how fast time goes. We still have some time.
Yeah, let's take a few more questions.
Right, but I just wanted to say we are running short, so I'm going to jump to more of the chat questions.
Sure.
Starting with, is it going to be weird to say goodbye to a show you've all been doing for so long?
Yes. Yes.
What he said.
No, it's one of the, this is one of the big things that featured heavily into kind of like the discussions that we had when we were deciding whether season 4 was going to be the last one. Past a certain point in 2014, I don't think that like a day has gone by when like Zach and I haven't talked about Wolf 359 in some capacity. Like it has just become like part of our daily lives and like our daily thinking in a way that like not even a job is. But it's just sort of like something that like that is constantly a part of us. And we are very sure that it's the right decision to end the show. I've always said that I want the show to end when it's going to be missed and not be sort of one of those shows that people are kind of going like, oh God, is that still on? Oh my God, what is happening there even? But no, I think that when Zach sort of like does his final read of the credits and when he goes, instead of this has been Wolf 359, this was Wolf 359. I have no idea what's going to happen in my brain. And
If
I
I
have
can make
no
it
idea
through
what's
that line.
Yeah.
But we did begin with the end in mind.
We
Before
did, we did.
No,
cast.
there was always talk about probably it'll be 4.
Yeah, and I think
So
that we talked
that's gonna
about
help.
yeah, I think we talked about
Like-
maybe 3 if we're kind of like this needs to be over.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 if all of a sudden there's like a bounty of ideas.
Before
Yeah.
we were really close, one of the things that I knew we both loved was Avatar, The Last
Yeah,
Airbender.
yeah.
And that is a
Such a
show
good
that I
show.
feel like
Such
did
a
an incredible
great
job
show.
Great show.
of
Not overstaying its welcome.
of telling its story
Yep.
and closing the book. And that's something that I'm proud that we're doing, but that doesn't make it any less sad.
Yeah.
And just the excuse to like I am somebody who kind of unconsciously for a long time, and when I noticed it, like in many ways consciously, organized my life around the people that I organized my life around the projects that I'm creating, which then in turn defines the people that I'm spending time with.
Yeah.
And I just can't imagine having spent the last 3 years learning and growing with any less amazing of a team as this team.
You know, I've said on multiple times that I sometimes feel like Wolf 359 ended up being kind of like my like hacked Wesleyan production grad program, especially because we got everyone that graduated in that school from that school the last time used to work in the show. But I think that when after 4 years of making it, the show is done, it's gonna feel a lot like I felt when I was done with college, and there was just sort of this sense of like, oh God, what do I do now? Like, what are we gonna make? What's gonna be our day-to-day routine now?
You think
Yeah.
we're eligible for that Lin-Manuel Miranda scholarship that they did? That would really.
We're going back.
Gotta go back.
Morty, I got a time
This
machine.
This is a new and like really exciting scholarship that just started at Wesleyan after we all graduated and we couldn't use it.
But
But it's very awesome.
Shouts to the king, Lin-Manuel Miranda and Tommy Kale.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
Yes.
I'm sure they're in the chat.
And shouts to the audience because you're part of the team, and that's
Actually, though.
that's
Yeah.
the chat is like
Yes.
Blowing
You're-
up. We've had over 200 people with us tonight. This is
That's amazing,
incredible.
you
That's so
guys.
incredible.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
203 is the peak count.
Wow.
Yeah, you guys are amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Alrighty.
Wait, also can I
Production.
show this?
Oh, yes.
Please
Yes.
do.
So for Christmas and the end of season 3, I made everybody plant monster nose warmers.
Oh my. You're kidding.
Yeah, you're getting one.
That's
You're getting one
amazing.
right
It
after
fits
this.
perfectly on my man bun.
You could do it now. Yeah, I could do it now, but as you can see, there's only 3. Anyway,
Oh, I see.
I have to attach something else to this one. But yeah, so plant monster immortalized forever on everyone's faces. Or it also doubles as a hat.
And we
Or-
will be
And the
posting
dog
group
hat.
photos of all of us in our plant monster noses for everyone to
Yes.
enjoy.
Zach hasn't put it on Tiffy yet, or if he has,
I
he
haven't
hasn't
yet.
shown
It
me.
will go on the internet. No, it's mostly lived on my
First will
man
go
bun.
on your cat.
That's amazing.
Oh,
So for the writers, but really for anybody who has been following the fan conversation, have you seen a fan theory you'd wish you'd thought of first? And I can say we've seen fan theories that were so scarily
Yeah.
accurate to what
Correct,
happened
yeah.
early on that we didn't want to breathe around them for fear of
Yeah.
them going
of their
mainstream.
awesome intelligence.
Seriously,
Yeah.
whoever did the what was it called thing, the Solaris,
Yeah, at some point, someone,
made that
which is a
like,
movie where they do the thing with the aliens clone bodies and they
like
show up as people in their lives.
very early, like middle of season 2,
It
someone
was way too early.
someone
yeah.
kind of went. So I know that the creator likes Solaris. So I think what's going to happen is this: 95% accurate version of what happened at the end of season 3, and it was like,
insane.
whoa, that's like really alarming.
Yeah, this has happened a couple times.
And and your first reaction, your knee-jerk reaction is always, I need to change everything. And then you kind of go, no. It's probably a good thing that this makes sense in someone else's brain, and that someone else thinks that this is a place where the story might realistically go. I'm trying to think if there's ever been something that's just been like, darn, I wish that I had like, imagine that.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple that have been like, I wish that I was that heartless. Like, that is so sad and so arbitrarily tragic and so just like completely and utterly icy in its like construction, especially like theories about backstories.
Yeah.
That I'm like, I wish that I could make up something that sad. I think that those are sort of the times when I felt like writerly jealousy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Here's
On that note.
little bit of switching gears. Does the cast and crew listen to audio dramas?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
Yes.
Anybody want to plug what they're
Zach
listening to right
Cabresto,
now?
what are you
Oh
listening
my
to
gosh,
right now?
I just finished Wooden Overcoats, and it is spectacular.
It's so good,
It's
you guys.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Basically, like, siblings are running the only funeral home on a very small island in the middle of the English Channel, and a golden Eric Chapman shows up and starts running a funeral home right across from them in episode 1. That's way better. And British hilarity ensues. The
Very
writing,
British
the
hilarity.
acting, the producing, everything's incredible on that show.
And they are also, I will say, out of everyone that I've heard, they are some of the most creative users of the radio drama medium.
Yeah.
Out of people that are working today. Like, these are guys that are not just thinking about how do we make things funny, but they're actively thinking about how do we make things funny
For radio.
exactly, and in a way that like uses the radio's strengths for maximum effect.
And they do a ton of live shows.
They do.
Like,
They do.
not that I've seen any of them. 'Cause
You happen to be in London.
Unlike us.
But it's interesting that like they're doing that for the radio in mind, but also for whatever audience engagement they're getting at their live shows.
Yeah.
That's the split. Those are the mediums they're engaging people with.
Yeah.
That's really
Right.
cool. That's
Um,
awesome.
I know. I do the bright sessions.
Right.
Hashtag,
Yeah.
hashtag
Yeah,
take
we all
your
love
hashtag
it.
right
We all
there.
love
Mine is
Lauren.
all-
I'm
all
shamefully behind.
She was potentially going to be with us. She's ill at the moment. We send you our love, and we hope that you feel better. It was amazing to have you as part of season 3 with us.
Yes.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Emma were here, she'd tell you,
That's
grrr. Obviously, welcome to Night Vale.
I am shamefully behind them. Welcome to that.
Yeah,
Oh.
so am I.
Dude,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Thrilling
yeah.
Adventure Hour, like there are lots of stuff.
I am the
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
shamefully behind of all of us. But that was one of the first shows that I got into before we started this show on your recommendation. That I
Right.
thank you for that.
Yeah, you still owe me.
I know. The interest just keeps it
It
growing.
just
It's
keeps building
impossible
and
to
building.
trap.
Yeah.
I got into Hello from the Magic Tavern, which a lot of
Nice.
people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
That's a
listened to
really
one
good show.
episode of theirs.
It's
really
for those who somehow don't know what it is. It's an improvised sort of comedic podcast from people in like the Chicago Improv who are. It takes place in like a Narnia meets Dungeons and Dragons esque tavern, where characters make up stuff about the world, and it's totally stupid and ridiculous, but it's consistent. And so throughout each episode, they refer
Nice.
back to all the random ass shit they came up with.
Oh, that's amazing. I've only heard a couple.
Ars
of-
Paradox.
Ars Paradox has been
Yeah.
amazing.
No, they
Love
tell.
Misha and that team, and I think
And Sally Grissom is a lot like
So
Minkowski to me.
Yeah.
Like in the driving against all these obstacles in her way.
right.
Just
Actually,
yeah.
so funny story. On Christmas Day, I got an email from Misha, and I got perhaps the greatest Christmas present that I've ever gotten from anybody. Misha, who is a unbelievable artist and a complete sweetheart, sent us a recreated version of the first episode of Wolf 359, acted out by the cast of Ars Paradoxica.
Oh,
We have to show you.
And we have not seen most of these guys since before Christmas of last year, so I haven't gotten a chance to share it with you again.
Oh my god.
But it is unbelievable.
They
It
got
is.
the music from
Can we
Alan.
listen
It's the
to
whole
it?
thing.
Oh,
There
they
was,
Yeah.
there was a whole
Alan.
drama with like Misha talking to Zach and I about how do I get in touch with Alan? I need these 3
Right.
tracks.
Wait, can we add this to the annual viewing of Star Wars and playing Space Team?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great.
Space Team is
Yeah.
a collaborative, competitive game
Cool.
that involves phones and yelling about, like, mop the deck.
What's it called?
Play-
Cooperative yelling?
It's a
Cooperative.
competitive cooperative game where
cooperative
we'll do
yelling.
it sometime
Yeah.
That's lovely.
on this channel. It'll be fun.
We could do that. Wait,
Yeah.
That would be very silly.
Yeah, that
That
would
would
be
be
super fun. Can we play Funzo? We haven't played Funzo.
Before we get too
We
far,
can't play Funzo.
one thing that I'd love to say, specifically about Ars and Ars Paradoxica and the Bright Sessions, is those are 2 shows that do representation about
Phenomenal.
LGBTQIA so beautifully. I will never get over Caleb and Adam. And Sally Grissom, I think, is an incredible representation in the media of an asexual character who has many dimensions and is a person that happens to be the way they are. So if that's something that's important to you and you haven't listened to those shows,
Do it.
check it out.
Yeah.
Or
Any other shows? All right.
so like maybe 2 more questions.
I have exactly 2 more questions.
Great.
Outstanding.
Man,
Anybody working on anything that they want to share with the world?
Zach and Noah are doing improv.
That's right. Yeah.
So am I. I'm in the morning class.
That's right.
Oh,
We have the same teacher, just
We have the
at
same
different
teacher,
times.
just different schedules.
Can we get into the same improv class this spring?
I would love to.
Okay, I think we should do that. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
Okay,
that would be
great.
super fun.
Yeah.
Wait, all 4 of us?
I'm working on stuff. Yeah,
Okay, great.
we'll
Let's
talk
do
about it.
that.
We'll talk about it later. It'll be fun.
What's the stuff you're working on, Cece?
Yeah.
Uh,
Cece, what are you working on?
well, I'm
Tell
so
us.
glad you
Or
asked,
if you want to
other
share
Zach.
it, yeah.
I made a dance film with my good friend and collaborator Kate Leidenheim, who runs a dance company and production company here in New York City called The People Movers. We are actually showing that dance film at the Knockdown Center in Bushwick. That exhibit is going up from the January 12th through the 15th. And so that is a part of a whole exhibit entitled The Nasty Women Exhibit.
Yes!
It is, it's specifically around women and women-identified humans making art as a form of resistance to perceptions of women and womanhood and what womanhood can be and who can hold on to womanhood or embody womanhood in the face of this current political and social climes. So that should be fun. I will be there. You should come too.
We'll put all the links to everything that's mentioned
Yeah.
below once I get them. They'll be there.
Yeah.
Which by the time you're watching this, will be there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I also just got cast in a show that is going up at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival in August. It is a combination immersive theater and podcast delivery vehicle for also in collaboration with the organization SETI and its sister organization METI. And the Edinburgh Science Festival. It has
Cool.
That is so amazing.
It's gonna
Is
be
it
really
only
fun.
in Scotland?
It is
Damn.
only in Scotland. The podcast you can listen
Road
to anywhere.
trip.
Yeah.
I
don't know that
you
know.
You should definitely come visit us in Scotland. We are searching for funding, but we're applying for things. It is this incredible project. It is multinational. It involves this insanely qualified team of scientists, that I get to interview in
Featuring
one of my
Gabriel.
roles, and then I also get to dance in the other one of my roles. So it's going to be an incredible, immersive scavenger hunt through Scotland and accompanying podcast exploring human relationships and personal relationships and what it might mean to leave Earth forever in search of alien life.
Yes, the SETI that she mentioned, Bobby R is asking, is the search for extraterrestrial
It is the
intelligence.
search for extraterrestrial
SETI.
intelligence. We
nothing
will be
like
doing a live panel
this show.
performance at the
Out of
METI,
the blue, really.
which is Messaging Extraterrestrial Intelligence Conference in Paris in March.
Oh, yes.
We already have one person saying they will travel to
Come hang out! Come hang out!
So awesome.
It'll be really fun.
And if you message me if you want to let Cece know that you're coming and you're on Tumblr or whatever, you can message us at the channels below this video.
Yes, definitely.
And we'll pass the word along.
We will find ways to get you information if you want to come chill and participate.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I think we can all look forward to seeing Daniel Jacobi in the newest production of Wolf Side Story.
Uh-huh.
I can't wait.
Tell us more about
The ending goes something like this, like, how many bullets are left, Daniel? How many bullets in this gun? Enough to shoot you, and you, and you? Yep, there's enough bullets.
That seems like an accurate.
Yep.
Really great.
So that'll be up sometime.
What's up right now?
I'm
That's gonna live forever.
Yeah,
I'm sure the funding is like right on its way.
Yeah.
More of a flood.
I feel that there's also room for a Wolf 359 cast members barbershop quartet.
Oh, absolutely.
Here come all the questions about whether we're doing a musical episode or not. I know you, Chad.
Do anybody else have stuff they want to plug or projects they're involved in?
What about you?
What are you
Yeah, what are you doing?
Ask Ariela.
Please, everyone, have you done? Are you done? Are you
Zach, do you
done?
have any projects?
Yeah. Well, so I'm involved in this thing Zach got me involved in, which is I'm a model for this World War I memorial with this romantic
Such a cool
classicist
project.
who's like
It's so cool.
the best sculptor alive, which is unbelievable.
Sabin Howard.
Yep.
Is it sabinhoward.com? If you Google him, he's the only Sabin Howard that will come up.
If you Google him,
sorry to any other Sabin Howard.
if you Google him and see like impossibly great drawings and sculptures, it's him.
Yeah.
That was like kind of a shout out to Ars Paradoxica, but not really. If it's Ars Paradoxica, it's probably us. Never mind. And my company, the Humanist Project, is producing 2 Shakespeare plays. One will go up in May of this year. We haven't announced our season
Ooh,
yet.
what are you doing?
We haven't announced our season yet, so I can't announce it here.
Come on, you're among
Where would
friends.
Where would they
Watching
find out
this
about
anyway.
it?
Yeah.
But you can find out more about us at thehumanistproject.com, or you just hit me up on social media, slide into my DMs if you know what I mean.
What's your favorite? Where should people come?
What's my favorite? I don't know, man.
All right.
It's not part of my elevator speech. But if you're in the New York area or you're interested in what we do, the Humanist Project supports a lot of different kinds of artists in terms of like bringing all of yourself to your art and speaking with your art, especially in these dark times, both inside of Wolf 359 and out. So
Cool.
Awesome.
It's good. You should go. That's all.
if you can't make it to Scotland, hang out in New York.
You should probably maybe think about going to Scotland.
I've
never been,
considering
but
Yeah.
it's
I'm
it's
gonna-
really
I'm
a
gonna go
beautiful
there.
city.
Fifi, you're
Yeah,
gonna
I've heard
Did you say
awesome
beautiful
stuff
city?
about Edinburgh.
Like
Edinburgh.
I thought
Okay,
you
I'm gonna give
said
you a list of
Scotland.
bars.
I've heard
No,
awesome stuff
okay.
about
The
Edinburgh.
city of Scotland. No.
No.
How about you, Sarah?
I gotta do stuff for this guy.
Oh,
Sarah and I are always
we're
working on kind of like various writing projects, and
That we
we're-
can't announce right now.
Yeah, and it's one of those things of
yeah.
they're always kind of getting off the ground, and the ground ends up being sticky.
Front burners on the front burner, back burners on the back burner.
Yeah.
There are back burners.
I've heard some definite backburnerly whisperings.
You have.
You have.
And
They
y'all will
exist.
find out about it first.
When there's something that we can say, you'll find out about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think the best place to find out about it is right here with me on YouTube. I've been a little bit slow this year. I know that was bad.
This year's 4 days old.
This year's 4 days old.
This will be a great. This is a great moment to announce Zach Valenti's subliminal marketing class.
It's a rip-off. I just watched Gravity Falls, which is an animated series that's hilarious, and there's a character who has a series of
misadventures.
Misadventures as a grifter. And one of my favorite products was his Band-Aid that definitely doesn't give you rashes.
I repeat, does not give you rashes.
It gives
you rashes.
Yeah. It was a total rip-off. I've been a little.
Some are constructed that way, but that
it's
one's
so great. They obviously do it better. I love making videos. I've been a little slow about it around the holiday season for a number of reasons, but I do put up about a video a week, and it's something that I intend to do into this new year. I also love putting up little moments on social media, but I will probably be using social media a little bit less than I did last year, because there are some things, some videos and some other projects that I'd like to put more time in that social media, as fun as it is, can be a distraction from. But I will be online. You can follow me everywhere, and all the links are below. But definitely subscribe to this channel right here on YouTube and get the notifications for new videos going up. Everything behind the scenes, Wolf 359 goes here, and I love to share content about creativity, self-care, and fun, weird stuff. Maybe like us playing Space Team together.
Zach, we love the work you do with self-care, and I think because he's no longer with us, it's going to be more important than ever that you continue Hilbert Therapy Tuesday.
The work.
Yes.
The work lives on.
Yeah, Vine getting shut down definitely threw me for a loop on that, and it's one of those things that's like, oh man, my best puns are unintentional.
Oh man, that
was great.
That was
That
great.
was
That was
great.
really great.
Wow, I couldn't do that if I tried. I'm just not that smart. But anyway, I'll take credit for it. Was there anything else? I don't know. We have this improv show coming up on Sunday. Check that out.
I think I'm in the hour before them. You don't have to check it out.
Oh, I'm coming.
You don't have to check it out at all.
That's so funny. I'm totally coming. What else? You know, I think that's good.
Yeah.
I think that's good.
I think we're good.
All right. So shall we do one more question?
Yeah, we got one more. Will somebody please hit that stupid gong?
Ariela, you want to do the honors?
Hit the gong.
We've literally had
I'm not gonna do a good job.
hundreds of
How
gong
can you
questions.
not hit a gong well?
Don't jinx her.
So I think you move your no.
Do it.
Yeah.
I think you did a good job.
This has been
extremely
Wolf 359 AMA.
Thank you guys
Thank you
so
guys.
much for hanging out with us.
I hope you're enjoying this 30 seconds from now.
We're going to miss you while we're hard at work putting together season 4. Wolf 359 will be back June 12th for our 4th and final season. It's going to be 15-ish episodes, and we think that you're all really, really going to love it. Talk to you all soon. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Good night.
You're the best.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Jacobi, let's
Bye,
go.
everybody.
Let's go.
To the thing.
Do the thing.
What's the thing? Anyway, bye y'all.
Bye, guys.
Oh wait, there's another button.